So you guys know my CPU suffers degradation. I decided to put it at 4 gigahertz. I said screw it because I was at 4.7 gigahertz. I felt how the processor was. Productivity wise, rendering videos, handbrakes, photo stuff, all that, it doesn't do that. It's okay, but I just need more power. I need more speed. Oh god, I need more speed. For gaming, it's perfectly fine. Maybe at even stock frequency, I think it's okay. The 8320 is probably okay at stock frequency when it comes to games. But I think the 4 gigahertz AMD FX 8350, which I currently think is overpriced. The AMD processors at this point in time, this is 2015, is overpriced. I don't even know when Broadwell is coming out, right? Yeah, Broadwell coming out this year, probably next year. And I think personally it's overpriced. It's too much money. 8350 should be around 150, 140, and 8320 should be around $100, $120, 110, 15, whatever. I think that's the perfect price. And then the 8370 is going to be around maybe 170, 175-ish, and then you got the higher end other parts going to fit in between there. I don't think any of these processors should exceed $200. Okay, maybe 220 max or 210 max, but I think the FX 8350 has been up for so goddamn long. Shit, it is old ass chipset. God, moving on. Let me just tell you what happened basically. So I decided to leave my processor at 4 gigahertz at 1.428 volts. Now sometimes this would happen. It would just like when you turn the computer on, it wouldn't work. And I would just have to reset it and actually go into the BIOS, maybe up the voltage a little bit more, put it back in stock or whatever. I don't know, lower it a little bit. Goddamn police! Who's getting arrested? Oh, it's an ambulance. Hope you make it, man. Good luck to you, sir. Alright, so anyway, yeah, so we need more, and basically shutting it off from the power supply, putting it back on, turns it back on. Now, when I was at 4 gigahertz, I put it to 1.428 volts or 1.44 volts. With low light calibration, it would go down to 1.428 when the CPU is all maxed out. So I was playing Battlefield 4, and then I noticed the maximum voltage when I had hardware monitor open. I didn't stress it. I didn't have time for that. I know it would probably work around there. And I opened hardware monitor, and the max voltage was actually 2 volts. I was like, no way, come on now, stop playing with me, hardware monitor. So I resetted everything back to zeros, and like 30 minutes later, after playing Battlefield 4, it set it again, 2 volts. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna believe you, because my motherboard tried to tell me some shit you trying to tell me right now, okay? My motherboard told me how my goddamn motherboard sockets and the motherboard was 135 degrees, negative 135 degrees, mind you, negative 135 degrees. I don't know if that was Celsius or Fahrenheit, but I was like, nope, not believing you, whatever. So later that night, I turned off my computer. And when I turned off my computer, some weird shit happened, man. The keyboard was still on. How you turn off your computer and your keyboard's still on, displaying everything? I'm like, somebody just slipped up. Somebody messed up big. It could be the motherboard. It could be the keyboard. I don't know who or what's going on. Maybe the motherboard fried the keyboard. Because why the hell is the backlight still on? This doesn't make no goddamn sense. You see what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be on. Like, the keyboard should not be on when you turn the computer off. That got to be the motherboard slipped up. Somebody done slipped up. The keyboard's dying. Somebody, the motherboard's dying. Killed the keyboard. I don't know. They had a fight through USB. Did a cable. I don't know. I'm going with that. So it stayed on. Like, what? It's so weird. Whatever. I switched it off in the back. I went to sleep. Woke up the next morning and turned it on, and nothing happened. Nothing displayed on the screen. And I'm like, okay, this is probably normal. Just flip it off, flip it back on, go into BIOS. Now, the way my computer is set up is I have 2 monitors, a 27-inch and probably like an 18, 17, 19. I don't know how big the goddamn my other monitor is, but I just use it for monitoring stuff. Or if I'm streaming on Twitch, I have it there so I can see the chat and whatnot. The way it's set up, the way the ports in the back of the computer is set up, the top port is actually where is kind of the main port. The way it's set up, I have both of them are DVIs, but the monitor is actually with DVI to VGA. The smaller one is DVI to VGA. The bigger monitor is actually DVI to HDMI. So and the DVI to the VGA, which is a smaller monitor, is actually set up. Is actually plugged in on the top port. So what happens is that when you turn the computer on, everything the BIOS displays, the BIOS, the loading screen, the start loading screen displays on the smaller monitor, and on the bigger monitor you can log in, blah, 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 and then you have the extended display. So I flipped it off, I flipped it on again multiple times. It's supposed to do that. When I flip it off, I flip it back on. When you turn the computer on, it doesn't display. You flip the power supply off, flip it back on, it should turn back on. It didn't turn back on, and that scared me. So I flipped it off and on again like 5 more times, and nothing happened. I started freaking out. I killed something down on me. I was thinking maybe it's the motherboard. I couldn't feasibly see it being the CPU at this point. It's a possibility, but anything could have gone wrong. Could have been the power supply, could have been the motherboard. I didn't know what the hell was what. Okay, so I had to run tests, I had to do diagnostics. It could take like an hour to fully understand what's happening. So first thing I did was I checked all the cables on the monitor. I checked the VGA cable on a small monitor, mainly just a small monitor because that's where it should display. I checked the other monitor, checked the data cable, and make sure the power is on that monitor. And then I decided to actually, look at what the motherboard was telling me. It was telling me that how the device LED, there's some shit wrong with it. So at this point I can say, well, maybe it's actually the graphics card or something. So I took the graphics card out from that slot, put it in the next slot, nothing happened. I'm crying. Mental. I gotta return you. If I have to return something, it'll take weeks. If the CPU dies, I'll probably just buy a new one. Use the 9590 temporarily for the meantime, and just buy like a 8350 or whatever, probably 8350. And so that didn't work. Okay, so I was like, okay, maybe the graphics card's bad. This maybe it's not, but it's possible. Let's just try something else anyway. So I pulled up my old ass 9800 GT. That graphics card is beautiful when I bought it. It still kind of is now for Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. On Black Ops. I bought that card. I call that card my Call of Duty card, man, because I played Modern Warfare 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Yeah, that's what it was. And I got 90 frames per second. That's the first card I was able to achieve such a high-ass frame rate, because before then, I had a 7800 GTX. It was shit. I was getting 40 frames per second. It was still playable. I played it anyway. But I've never experienced such a high frame rate. And I was like all hyped in the car. If you played Modern Warfare back in the day in PC, at a certain time, you'll see some guy hyped in the car. Oh my God! 90 frames per second! You're so beautiful. Jesus blessed me today with a beautiful graphics card. I was just all over. I left the game, went into another game. I was like, oh my God, guys, 90 frames per second is so nice. I was crazy about that card. It's a beautiful card. I played Modern Warfare 4. I mainly got into Modern Warfare 2. It was a religion. I played it over and over and over again. Like a religion. Like you would not believe, man. It's crazy. I love it. Over 1,000 hours. It's the only game I had. The only game I played was content with it. It was beautiful. And then it died afterwards. After Modern Warfare 3 was shit. Black Ops 1, I kind of liked it, but I never owned it. Okay, let's not talk about games. I'm getting distracted here. Anyway, so I plugged in the 9000 GT, and nothing happened. Plugged it in. I plugged it into the second slot. Nothing happened. And I was like, oh my, I was pacing back and forth. Like, what the hell is going on today in this house? What's happening in this house right now? Like, why are you not turning on for me? Like, this is bullshit. Like, the next thing I would have to do is really swap out the CPU. And then I wanted to do that kind of last, well, not last, but that would be the second thing to do. And then the last thing to do is actually the RAM. Change the RAM out, use one stick, maybe try another slot in RAM. Because I have to remove the water cooler, and it's like a lot of work. Sorry, it's a lot of work. Start with the easiest and most accessible thing first, then move on to the harder things. So before doing that, I decided to recheck all the connections, make sure I'm not hallucinating, make sure I didn't do something wrong. So I rechecked everything. I make sure that the monitor, the cables are plugged in on the back of the power on the graphics card. I'll check that monitor. I'll check the other monitor and the smaller monitor. And then I noticed something weird about the small monitor. I noticed that there wasn't any power onto it, because the way it's set up is that you can't really see the power button that well. On the bigger Asus monitor, or Asus, they want to call themselves. I like Asus. But Asus, you can see the LED in the front. Now on the smaller monitor, the LED is at the bottom facing downwards. And how the hell am I really supposed to see that shit being on? You see what I'm saying? So I said, okay, let's make sure this is weird. Okay, this off. So the computer was still on, And I was panicking at that time. I was like, okay, well, the power is off. This is so weird. Okay, let's just turn it on, you know. This could probably be the possibility. I was like, oh my God, this can't be it. I hope it's not. And I plugged it in. I wiggled the cable in, and the cable, it didn't feel like it was loose-ish. Kind of, it looked like it was in properly. So I, you know, turned on the monitor. And Windows displayed. I lost it that day. I lost it. I was like, oh my God. I cannot believe that happened. That is absolutely insane. I went through all that trouble, all that stress, all of that. And then the monitor power cable is actually unplugged. Ridiculous. Anyway, it works. She works fine. I just had to reinstall the drivers because, you know, NVIDIA, they don't support that. The current driver that was in there doesn't support the 9000 GT. NVIDIA's a little bitch because they don't really support any AMD graphics card in the rig at the same time. When you have another NVIDIA card, they're a little bitch for that. I used to use the 5770 to render videos. They were rendering fast because Vegas isn't really compatible with a lot of video cards. And they're bitches too. Everybody's a bitch in this case. I'm a little bitch because I freaking messed up with that shit. How do you forget? How do you not? I really thought it was plugged in. I really did. I didn't realize that at the time, but you know, I thought it was plugged in. I was like, oh my God. So I'm a little bitch for that. NVIDIA's a bitch for, you know, doing that shit with AMD where you can't even use two AMD cards, or you can't, if you have two AMD card, you can use NVIDIA and AMD card together. Physics got the same. You probably can't install the drivers. Some shit got messed up. Blah 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 blah. Bitch. Vegas is a little bitch for not really supporting these newer devices in a timely manner. Even the 600 series, the 700 series, and now even the 800 series in the laptop, the 900 series, it doesn't support it that well. So when I render videos, utilization is around 7%. And when I render with the 5770, utilization is much higher. Now you can say, oh, man, it's a slow card. No, shut up, stop right there, okay? It's utilizing the card way more than any other graphics card. So let's now talk about my new platform upgrade. Next month, I am planning to upgrade my system because I need more power, to be honest. And I just don't play only games on my computer. So I'm going to be upgrading to the Intel platform. That'll be like the first ever Intel platform I'll have. First ever. Never had Intel. AMD all the way. Athlon, Phenom, FX, all the way. AMD. Because they were cheaper and I really only played games back then. I did a little bit of video editing too, but you know, it wasn't that bad really, because the video wasn't that high of a quality either. So, but I'm planning on, if you want to know the rig, I'm going to keep everything besides the motherboard, CPU, and RAM. So essentially, I'm going to be going with either a 4790K with the new motherboard and 8 more gigs of DDR3 RAM, because I have 8 gigs right now. Or I'm going to switch over and just, well, not going to switch over, but like, just get the 5820K. 16 gigs of DDR4 and an Asus motherboard. And I'm probably going to go and get the CPU at Micro Center. Like if you're upgrading right now and you do productivity also, you should definitely get that CPU at Micro Center because it's $300. $299.99. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or statements, comments, or anything like that, you know, just leave it in the description below. And I will catch you guys in the next video.